Franchise Secrets, Eric Von Horn.
If you're not a part of the Franchise Secrets Facebook group, what are you waiting for? It's franchisesecrets.com/Facebook. I cannot believe how valuable this group turned out to be. When someone asks a question, the feedback is honest, authentic, very helpful, and it's from multiple perspectives. If you're not sure that you're getting the most accurate information about franchising, then check out the largest, most helpful Facebook group in all of franchising. Whether you're a Z, a Zor, a buyer, or investor, join our free Facebook group at franchisesecrets.com/Facebook. Hey, Franchise Secrets. So I have a recording of a podcast I did with Justin Donald. We actually went live in the Facebook group. I got on the call with Justin or on the Zoom and I said, hey, you want to do this in a Facebook group? And he said, sure. And he thought we were going live in the Tribe of Investors to do it. And I was like, no, the Secrets Facebook group. So we did it just for the fun of it, because these conversations that Justin and I have, these would be conversations that are a phone call or a meeting that we have with some of our team members and whatnot. So nothing's really ever scripted with my stuff. With, sometimes I have some questions prepared, and so this time with Justin, we got into really randomly into mentors, or more coaches, hiring coaches. And because I knew he had hired a coach, I'd been wanting to talk to him about this specific coach for a while. And I had not had a chance to really ask him about it. So I'm like, well, why don't we do it in front of a bunch of people? So we got into that, and we got into like, why do people get into business for the freedom? That's the thing that I hear a lot. They get into business for the freedom, and yet once they reach a level of freedom, they want more money. And then they reach that level of income, and then they want more. So freedom gets pushed down the list the more money that they make. Why is that? And so he and I think a lot alike on this type of thing. And then we wrapped it up with some conversations on the economy. Like, where does he see it going? What are the things that he's kind of doing as we are going into 2023? The state of the economy, it is what it is. So he had some really good takeaways and thoughts on that. So I hope you enjoy this episode with my business partner in the Tribe of Investors, Justin Donald. We set this podcast up a while ago, and we have no clue what we're talking about. In the last 3 minutes, I put together kind of a topic and some questions, and you and I haven't even talked about what those are.
Well, I feel like we often just kind of roll with the punches, that's more my style anyway. I'd rather just, talk about what's going on today, unscripted, unfiltered, just whatever it is. Well,
we were just talking about that in Austin. We had a meeting for the masterminds, your mastermind lifestyle and the Tribe of Investors. And we were talking about you doing some scripted video stuff, and like, you and I hate scripted stuff.
Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah, it takes so much energy, and it is just not. I feel like I don't get into flow. Like, I just want to flow. I just want to talk and be real right now with what's on my mind, versus something that I have to stick by and stick to. Is just a little more awkward for me. And I feel like I just don't do scripted stuff very well.
Well, I think we have started the podcast already. From the sounds of it, we are a minute into the podcast.
All right. Well, great way to start.
I know. One of the things I was thinking about, we just got off a session with the Tribe of Investors. We did a 3-hour session on mobile home parks. We had your mobile home park mentor on there, and he presented a deal as well. But you mentioned two things on that. Might go back to mobile home park, because that's always an interesting conversation. But you said, hey, I have a new coach. And I've known about this coach for a little bit now. I actually drove by his house in Nashville when I was out there, and someone said, hey, we're in Franklin, do you know that's where so-and-so lives? And I'm like, oh, I didn't. And then shortly after that, you're like, hey, I hired so-and-so to be my coach. And I've not even asked you about this. And so this is something I personally wanted to ask you about. So are you good kind of talking about who you hired and why you hired them?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, the whole reason I generally don't mention people by name is because I never really know if they want to be out there.
He probably does not want to be associated with you. So that's a good point.
Well, I always have a coach, right? I mean, unless I'm in a really interesting season where I'm intentionally taking a break, it's important for me to have a coach because I want to get better at certain areas in my life. And if I hire people that are best in class at these areas, then I can get the hacks on how to get there. Instead of trial and error and seeing what works and what doesn't work, I can get what certainly works and has worked before. It's a tested, proven method, and then I just need to follow it. But I also need someone that just has some creativity about them, that can think outside the box. So that's really important to me. And so my last number of coaches have had that, and it's been wonderful.
You gonna tell us who it is?
Yeah. So Michael Hyatt is who I've been coaching with. And I've been impressed with just his level of knowledge and understanding, just even in, entrepreneurship in the business world. He's had has had a background of having worked in private equity, having a company that went public and being an executive of that company, and kind of the ins and the outs. And so as we're looking to scale some of our brands, it's been nice having someone that has the know-how, that has like a great reputation, and has awesome partners that he can connect us to. And just insight, just great insight that you can only get because you've done it.
Just curious, like why you hired him, because he has I used his full focus planner for years. I've had that. I don't use that right now, but I have a bunch of them around the house. And then he's written some great books, and he's had some, he's known out there. Mm-hmm. And so I was wondering, like, why did you hire him? And like, because he could coach you on a number of different things. I mean, dude, you need a lot of coaching for one thing.
I do. And I hope that I always do the rest of my life, because I just want to get better, and I want to put smart people, way smarter than me, in my, ecosystem.
So does he have like a whole program for private coaching clients?
He does. Yeah. I think he brings on 10 people a year, 8 to 10 people a year that he coaches, and, has an arrangement with them that, is definitely interesting and different than some of what you see out there. But, it's great to have extra insight. Like for me, I think of it as, I'm paying someone to be the chairman of the board of my company that doesn't yet have a board, right? Someone that, has insight in a way that I don't, that has experiences and expertise in things that I don't have as much of yet, and someone that I think operates well, treats people well, engages in relationships well, and then just has a Rolodex of amazing people that he can connect me to. I mean, these are the things that I'm looking for, that I want.
So the Justin 10 years ago versus the Justin today, knowing everything, getting coached by really smart people and having a lot more experience. So the Justin of 10 years ago versus the Justin today, are you able to extract a lot more value out of that coaching relationship because of how you know how to be the student and the coach?
Yeah, I mean, most certainly. And by the way, 10 years ago, I had a coach, right? And so what I can tell you is today I pay more for higher quality coaches, like with proven track records, than what I did then. And so I think you can learn no matter what, from anyone that you would hire, anyone that has an expertise that you're looking to glean from. But, I probably didn't know the questions to ask. I probably let a lot of my coaching calls be coach driven in the early years. Whereas today I'm intentional about what I want to learn, and I'm very vocal about like what are my needs in this session today, like what's going on in my world right now that I would like help with, and what is coming up in the near future that I need to be thinking about and planning for. So yeah, I just think I am more intentional and more prepared and willing to invest more in myself than I was in the earlier years, because I see the value now today.
Yeah. Yeah. I can say, I mean, hiring a coach is the ultimate shortcut. I see a lot of people, a lot of friends have reached out to me asking about different coaches. They're like, hey, I'm needing to learn X, Y, and Z, whatever that is. And they said, you know, and I said, oh, you should go buy so-and-so's course. You should take their program. It's $10,000. And I remember some of them would come and say, Eric, I don't want to spend I don't care about the $10,000 to buy their course. That's fine. But I don't want to go through 5 weeks, 10 weeks, X amount of hours to go learn the stuff. I want the ultimate shortcut. I will pay them $50,000 for a half a day with them. And, you know, and I was talking to Tommy Mel. He said something similar to that in a mastermind session that we had him on. I have a friend from Nashville that needed to learn some speaking stuff. And he that's who I'm thinking of right now. And he would rather pay someone a lot of money for a crash course and the introductions that person was able to give them versus taking a normal course that someone would take. So when I think about having access to somebody like that, that's the ultimate shortcut.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And, you know, there's different price points. Like when I first started out, I paid.
Give us some price points. I want to hear some numbers.
Yeah, I paid $500 an hour when I first started out. You know, like that was the price I was comfortable with. I found people that, you know, kind of fit that. And I eventually upgraded to $750 an hour. And then it was $1,000 an hour. I think my next coach maybe was $2,000 an hour. And I've had, and by the way, I hired another coach that, gosh, I don't know how much he was for an hour, but there was a retainer for a number of sessions. And so, you know, I could probably do the math, but that was for like, you know, a relationship coaching, you know, like I feel like my wife and I have a great relationship, but how can we make it
no, for
better?
The record, you and your wife have a great relationship, have a great family. So like, for the record, that's like standard for you in relationship is amazing relationship. So keep going.
Yeah, thank you. And my goal is like, how much better could it be? Like, what are we not realizing together, and how can we be in more, you know, in sync together? So, I mean, that has been a great relationship. And so I think, you know, that one was a little bit more. I think we paid $30,000 for like 6 months. And I think it was every other week. So, you know, we could do the math there. I've paid as much as $250,000 for a year.
And you've charged as much as $250,000.
I've charged more than that, but yeah. And by the way, that part of the reason where I recognized that there was a market for me to be able to charge at what many would consider crazy levels is that I was willing to pay it myself, right? And so that opened my eyes that, hey, this expertise is worth it for me to pay this type of money. And by the way, I'm happy sharing, you know, my prices here as well, because I don't do coaching anymore, right? So I did for a period of time. I really only have one private client today. Everyone else I have encouraged to move on to like put into action the things that we've discussed. But yeah, I mean, I've charged anywhere from 250 to 500,000 plus different upside that could hit the high mark of about $1 million a year. And people, you know, there's still a wait list for that, but it's not where and how I want to spend my time today. And so I just think it's smart to spend the money that you need when you're being as long as you're being a good steward of your money and you're being responsible with your money, spend the money you need to be in proximity with those that you desire to be in proximity with, like who plays the game of life and business and wealth building and investing and health and relationships at a higher level than you. and how do you get in their ecosystem, right? So that is my goal, is finding those people that I look up to, that I aspire to be more like. And then I just want to find a way in their ecosystem so that I can have that proximity. And sometimes it works out where, it's a peer group and you're just connecting, and it's not that you're paying for coaching or anything. But other times, the only way I found to get in those ecosystems is to just pony up and pay. And the reason I keep doing it is because every single time my return on that investment has been far greater than the actual dollars I put in.
So here's the deal with the Franchise Tribe Mastermind. It's full of a bunch of successful franchisees across many different industries, many different brands, and you get to be a part of that. Now, if you've had any level of success in franchising, you've probably been around top performing Z's in your current brand. So think about that. And if you could do that with 40 plus different brands, industries, franchisees, that's the value in the mastermind. I bring in some of the best speakers in the world. We talk about some topics that will never be talked about anywhere else. So if you're interested in being a part of a group like that, check out franchisetribe.com. I think that's why it's fairly easy for you and I to charge, like for Tribe of Investor Mastermind. That price is $25,000. Here shortly, it's going to be $25,000 a year. For the Lifestyle Investor Mastermind, it's $55,000. And you and I can, with a straight face, charge somebody for that. One, we know the value, but we've also paid for the coach, and we've paid to be a part of masterminds. We've paid for different programs, and we don't have a problem doing that because we've seen the value. And it's funny because we just had introduced 5 new members in the Tribe of Investors a couple minutes ago. And I remember having calls with them last week. It's kind of, the final call. And they're like, Eric, I've never paid to be a part of a group like this. And they're like, tell me about the first time that you did that. And I started to go back, Justin. It's been about 5 years. And I'm like, wow, it was War Room. My buddy Brian Holmes, who I started the franchise, my first franchise podcast with him called The Franchise Story. He called me up and said, hey, Eric, I'm going to this conference called Traffic and Conversion. Do you want to go? And I'm like, sounds fun. Going hanging out with friends in San Diego, better than South Dakota in the winter. So I headed out and then had some friends that were part of this mastermind. So I'd always heard about it. And so I went to one of their sessions where they kind of tell you about it. And I'm like, man, I should just do this. It was like $25,000 or $30,000. I'm like, that's a lot of money. But I'm just like, I'm ready. I'm ready to do something different because I was the smartest guy in the rooms that I was in already. And I'm like, I'm going to be intimidated by going into this room and being around these types of people. So full circle, one of the guys that I happen to that runs the mastermind that I meet out of the whole deal is Roland Frazier. And Roland's always ready to jump in and help both you and I out with our masterminds. And the last thing that he said to me, I just had him on the podcast, and he's like, before we recorded the podcast, like, Eric, I want to start a mastermind with you. You and me start a franchising mastermind that's different than what you're doing now, that will produce deal flow for both of us. And I'm like, that's invaluable. 2-3 years ago, I've been like, there's no way Roland would want to partner with me on a mastermind. But it's because of me ponying up $25,000 or $30,000, building relationship, and not trying to get something out of it, but it just naturally evolves. And I've had multiple different deals that have been given to me because of the rooms that I've been in. So although I didn't see immediate ROI, maybe in the first 6 months or maybe the first 18 months of being in the different masterminds that I paid for, looking back, they've more than paid for themselves.
Yeah, there's no doubt that if you make an investment like that, you're going to find, most people are just going to find a way to get the value out of it. For me, I wanted to get that return on investment fast. And so I've been part of a ton of masterminds, a bunch of investment groups. They've all cost money. And so my goal is, if I'm going to pony up X dollars, whatever it is, and, my groups range from, I think the cheapest group I did was $10,000 a year, and then $2,500 renewal on some stuff, on up to, tens of thousands. I'm in a couple of groups right now that are 35,000 each. And the thing for me is I just said, hey, if I'm going to invest this, I'm committing to getting more of a return than those dollars in my education, in my relationships and network. And so I just put it to action right away, because my goal is how quickly can I say, wow, I've already made a return on that investment in myself. And it generally just takes one conversation, one relationship, one opportunity, one like mindset shift. This person thinks this way. I never considered that because I'm stuck in my own world or in my own head. And so it's been easy for me to see that ROI really quickly. And then everything else is just bonus. Yep. And so it almost like takes this pressure off where I have to show up and make, I got to work hard to get this return on investment. No, I already got it. And now I'm just going to show up and add value where I can and learn where I can and enjoy the people, getting to know the people, because at the end of the day, that's really where the magic is and where the magic happens.
So you said something, you have a waiting list of people that want to pay you a ton of money for your time, for what you know, and you're saying no to them. I know a lot of people in business, they get into business and they become entrepreneurs because they want freedom. That's probably the most common thing that I've heard as I've helped so many people over the years get into entrepreneurship. Freedom. They get to the level where they have the freedom that they always wanted, and then they double down again, and they are making twice as much money as their original big number was. And then they continue to work and continue to work and continue to grind. Why is that? Or why was it easy for you to say, no, I don't want more money and to give up in exchange for time?
Well, my goal isn't to make more. My goal is more freedom. My goal is more experiences with family and friends. My goal is like time spent doing the things that I love, that I'm passionate about, that fulfill me. So that's the goal. I don't need to make more money to accomplish those things. I need the time to be able to do those things. And I need the space just to be able to like have carefree timelessness and creatively explore what it is that I want to learn and who it is that I want to spend time with. So I'm not motivated by making more, because I think that those are moving targets and that goalpost continuously shifts. So whatever the number is, whenever you get to that number, it's never enough. And I just don't want that to be the driver. I would rather it be relationships, experiences, just things that fill me up, that I show up full of passion and show up feeling totally fulfilled when I'm doing it, where time just slips away and you're like, wow, I can't believe 3 hours just went by. Like those type of activities, because you love them so much, you're not counting the clock, right? So that's it.
Most people think that. Most people at that point where that's what they want, and they're like, yeah, that makes sense, Justin and Eric. That's what I want. When I get there, I'm not going to, when I sell my business, sell my company, reach $100,000 or $1 million of cash flow, whatever that number is. But yet they keep going. And you and I both know people like that. They keep going and they can't stop. Like, what is it why people can't stop the grind, the hamster wheel, because it's not a bad thing to want to work, to want to create things, but there's something that is you and I have been able to switch off or maybe switch on that has allowed us to chase freedom more than we're chasing money. What is it?
Well, I think when you are clear what enough is, like when you can live this life that you've desired to live, that shifts. You got to be careful though, because like money is addictive and success is addictive. And a lot of people that pursue those things have an ego tied to maybe like grandiose success or large portfolio or huge net worth or whatever. I just think that at the end of the day, that ends up being more unfulfilling. Like maybe in the moment, the pursuit of that feels grand and it feels good, but it really comes up empty. And for anyone that's had a big exit before, and keep in mind, like, I haven't had a big exit. I'm just a bunch of singles and doubles. But I've had, times where I've had some good returns on investments and I've had a decent amount show up. But I've also coached people that have had 8 and 9 figure exits. And I'm coaching someone right now that I think is going to have a 10-figure exit and maybe even more. But the one commonality that all of them have, when I say, well, how did it feel in that moment? And it feels great. And then how did it feel like 2 months later? And it's like, yeah, kind of empty. Like I almost felt like I had no meaning in life because my ego was tied to this business or this thing, and then it's gone. And I feel like I'm naked. I don't know what to do. I don't know who I am. And the numbers don't matter. Like, I have X in my bank account, but I don't feel any different. In fact, I kind of feel a little worse, right? Because I haven't found my, like my identity, who I really am, beyond who I thought I was as a businessman or a businesswoman. And so that is the common thing that I see in coaching and with people that are part of my, mastermind communities and our mastermind communities, is really that. So I think when, you put money or fame or success so high on the pedestal that trumps everything else, in time, a lot of people realize that, it doesn't move the needle like they thought it would, but they waste a lot of years of life before they figure it out. And some people never figure it out until, they're on their deathbed. And then, the one thing that you don't hear people saying on their deathbed is, man, I wish I had more stuff. Like, I wish I had bought another home. I wish I had. No, they say, like, I wish I would have spent more time in this relationship. I wish I would have traveled to this place with this person. I wish when I was healthy, I would have done these things. So I want to learn from those people now and not wait until it's too late.
It's interesting. I'm trying to look at it online right now. Dave Hollis just died over the weekend. And
he's young.
Yeah, young, 47. And one of my friends online posted a video that he did 18 months ago. And the video basically said, if you had 2 years to live, how would you live your life today? And, it's I live life like that. We've experienced loss as a family. And so it's easier for us to kind of like see death as real. And that's one of the things that helps us like put experiences over having a bigger bank account or prioritizing family or taking the phone call from a friend or from a family member versus like delaying it because of that. So, but yeah, I mean, we talk about life is short. I mean, you look at that, and a lot of my friends online, I didn't know him at all, but a lot of my friends like were good friends with him, and it gets real.
That's tough. Yeah. I mean, hopefully that can be a sobering moment for others to say, hey, what would it look like if I lived an epic life today? And, a lot of people think that they get off the treadmill when in reality, all they're doing is buying a nicer, fancier treadmill that goes faster, and they make more because of it, but they're still on that same darn treadmill. It's just that their life experiences kind of upgrade, and they may not see for a while that they're still on the hamster wheel, right?
Don't upgrade the treadmill.
That's right. That's right. You got to be careful that as an entrepreneur, that your business doesn't own you. Most people think they own their business when in reality, their business owns them. And I can say the same thing about money. Most people think that they own money when money really owns them. Your possessions begin to own you, especially as you accumulate more things. And I'm just saying, like, I mean, my experience is that whatever the new thing is that is cool in that moment, it's never as cool 2 years from then, right? There's always something newer, nicer. Your friend got something better, whatever it is, a house, a car, a boat, whatever. What you once cherished becomes something that you almost in some instances can despise if you let your wants kind of take over. So it's a fascinating thing, but material stuff, just there's no fulfillment in it. It's fun to get it. There's a dopamine hit when you do, but this is why you also see a lot of very successful people. And this is a small percentage, but there's enough big names out there that don't have the fun, fancy stuff, don't have multiple homes and vehicles and all that. And I think they've just figured it out, right?
Attention franchisors, if you are not bringing in many of the right franchisees, sales are slow. It's stealing too much of your time as a founder trying to award franchises to the right franchisee. There's a better way to do it. That's why I started the Franchise Sales Mentor. If you want to have access to the information, the techniques, the ways that the best franchise sales organizations are awarding franchisees, then you might want to check out the Franchise Sales Mentor. The reasons that franchisors join is because they want access. They want access to my Rolodex. They want access to my connections. They want access to shortcut both short-term and long-term success to increase enterprise value to their brand. Well, whenever I have you on the Lifestyle Investor, we have to talk a little bit of the economy or investing or something like that. So I'll let you pick where we go. We can talk about kind of where we're headed as an economic times in 2023, since we are, it's mid-February right now. We'll release this right away. So we could talk about that a little bit. We can talk about why did you just buy another mobile home park and a little bit about that. So you pick where we want to go for the final topic.
Yeah, and one thing I will say is, like, I don't want to, demonize like having nice things and like, I think there could be great motivation if done in the right way. I mean, I certainly like having nice stuff, and I like being able to entertain people and share the things that I've been blessed to have. So I don't want to make it sound like I don't have that. I just think it's really important to be the owner and not be owned from the standpoint of possessions.
What do you think my parents always said, just to that, and I've learned from them, and I'm the same way. Like, if we had to leave our house or give up this thing or that thing, like, would it change? Like, could we just do that? If we just gave this away, gave that away, or had to sell this, like, what would change? Are we okay in our heart? Are we okay mentally? Does that impact our identity? And they live that way. And I've seen them that be who they are. And that's one of the things I'm most impressed with about my parents. It's one of the things that they've passed on to me. So 100% agree with you on that.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. In terms of the economy, it's interesting. I just had a chance to hear Sam Zell speak and get a chance to meet with him one-on-one, and just had.
So who's Sam Zell? Like, I know who Sam Zell is. I got his book, but for people that don't know who Sam Zell is, tell them who Sam Zell is.
So Sam Zell. Yeah. Sam Zell is, by most people's standards, the greatest real estate investor, of our time for sure, but potentially just period, the greatest real estate investor. So he is the largest owner of apartment complexes, largest owner of mobile home parks. He was one of the largest owners of commercial, sold all of it right before the financial crisis in 2008. Just a brilliant, brilliant man. Grew up in Chicago. I also grew up in Chicago. And I've learned a lot from him over the years. And so it was cool meeting with him. And, it's also interesting because I found out that his number one greatest investment that he ever made out of everything he's ever done, and this guy is really successful, multi-billionaire. He said his single greatest investment ever is his very first mobile home park that he bought in 1983. And the way, not only that specific investment, but the door that opened to him becoming the largest owner in that asset class. And so for 10 years, he bought parks. And just, everyone thought he was crazy. No one was out there doing it. And then 10 years later, 1993, he took it public, Equity Lifestyle Properties, so ELS, on if you go to the stock exchange and try and pull up the mobile home park REITs, that is, it's interesting that like even today, of everything he's ever done, that is it. He said that he's had a consistent 18% IRR return over, since 1983 for all of his investors, which is cool. And, for the vast majority of it's been public. So, if you check out the markets, you can see it and you can see how it's trending, but phenomenal. Now, he also said that he's not a buyer of real estate right now, unless it's, an off market, unique deal with the right pricing. He just feels like cap rates are out of control. Interest rates are too high. It's just not a good market, not a good season, except for one-off things. But he still loves that mobile home park space. And so I think he's one of the smartest guys out there. And I'm just going to keep copying him. I'm going to copy the best, and I'm going to do it with pride.
I like it. All right, man. I'm getting over my sickness. You've had a long day. Let's cut it off. Sound good?
Sounds good. Always a pleasure to connect, though. I love just, talking shop and, talking about life, doing life together.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Franchise Secrets Podcast. Whether you're watching or listening, please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and to whatever channel you're listening on. If you want my help with anything from buying a franchise to franchising your business, please visit franchisesecrets.com.